I'm going to tell you about the National Library of Scotland's experience of housing library collections, and I'll cover why we box our collections, how we set priorities, and how we make and evaluate our boxes, and I'll finish by showing you some of our new and innovative products. So as I'm sure you're all aware, there are many benefits to storing collections inside boxes and other enclosures. Probably most importantly, the box protects the contents from dust, water and light. We have occasionally had minor floods at the National Library of Scotland, a couple not so minor as well, and the boxes have proved surprisingly effective at keeping collections dry. Boxes also buffer variations in the ambient relative humidity. They protect books from wear and tear, particularly while they are travelling to and from the reading room, and they hold together fragmentary items. And some of the styles of enclosure that we use also improve collection security. For example, we put some of our fragile manuscripts into fascicles, which are a bit like scrapbooks. The manuscript pages are stuck in on guards, and so the pages are much less likely to go missing in the reading rooms. So how do we decide what gets a box and what doesn't? We have several workflows and ways of prioritising. Firstly, although we'd like to box all of our new legal deposit material, we just don't have the resources to do this. So we box new paperbacks, but not new hardbacks, and that's because we feel the hardbacks are more robust. And we just use standard size boxes for our new material. Secondly, we have an ongoing programme to make individually sized boxes for our special collection items, phase boxes. And our eventual aim is to box all our special collection items. Sadly, when you do the sums, it's going to take us several decades. And thirdly, we have an ongoing programme to box vulnerable items, such as maps and glass negatives. We do still make handmade cylinder boxes, but only when the need can be justified, because they're so time-intensive to make. So, for example, the cylinder box in the slide that I'm showing was made with a separate compartment to house material that had been removed from a book during conservation. And we also undertake rehousing as part of other projects, and we often use volunteers to help with rehousing work. So how do we make our boxes and enclosures? Well, we're very lucky in that we have a box-making workshop. We have two styles of machine for making boxes, the die-cutting machine for the mass production of standard boxes, and the digital cutting machine for individual-sized boxes. The digital machine allows the user to create designs and modify existing ones, but it's slower at cutting boxes than the die-cutting machine, so we use a mixture of the two. Some of our enclosures are made mostly by machine, but with some steps by hand. For example, the old-style manuscript folder that I'm showing, the fasteners are added by hand. Our cylinder boxes, as I mentioned, are made entirely by hand. We have experimented with cutting the boards for them on the machines to see if that speeds things up, but it doesn't really. And some types of enclosures, we've experimented with trying to make them ourselves, but it's just cheaper to buy them. For example, we have experimented with making our own polyester multi-pockets for photographs, but the welding of the seals takes too long because we don't have a machine to do it automatically, so we just buy those. So how do we evaluate our boxes and enclosures to make sure they're doing their jobs? Well, we constantly get feedback from the library staff about our boxes, and this may cause us to make minor changes to a design or to come up with something completely new. And normally we'd pilot and test a new design for a while before we go into mass production. We also recently did a very fun test where we took a maps plan chest in several of our boxes and enclosures to an industrial site where they could do a sprinkler simulation for us. And we filmed the test, and it did show that the plan chest and nearly all of the boxes were very effective at keeping their contents dry. In particular, we tested a style of box which had let water in the past, but which had been modified with a protruding lip to try and throw the water off. And you can see this side in the middle. And you can also see the drawing where there's a kind of curved section. And we found that this modification worked really well and the boxes don't leak anymore. And finally, we crash test our boxes by twisting and punching them and throwing them around because we want to make sure that they're robust enough to survive a lot of handling. Our box-making team's constantly coming up with new and innovative products. For example, for a recent project, we designed an enclosure that you can see at the top with the drawing in. It had a thick paper backing and a sheet of polyester welded to the paper on one side, inside which the drawing could be hinged, so then you can put the polyester down and it can be handled without the drawing being touched. We also recently changed the design of our manuscript folders from the old-style ones that tie with a string to a new type that ties with cotton tape. and the new ones are much quicker to make and also easier to use. Other new products are developed as rehousing projects get underway. For example, we recently designed record sleeves and boxes because we wanted to start rehousing our records. And recent innovations which we're particularly pleased about include a double-walled machine-made box, which we make to measure for very large and heavy books, and that removes the need for a cylinder box. And also a style of box we're trying, which we're calling a cabinet box. It fits inside the shelf space and holds all the books on the shelf. It doesn't offer physical protection during transit, but it does protect books from dust and water, and it's much quicker to make than individual boxes. So we're hoping it might be a way to box some of our less frequently used collections quickly. And as a final point, I'd like to say that we're very happy to share our box designs with other institutions that have box making machines. So if there's anything I've shown that you'd like the drawing for, please come and ask me. Thank you.